Welcome to Pod Caviar. Another great episode is coming up. I'm your host, Tony. I got Graham from One Gram Army. What's up?
Hi there. I'm ready to get into this particular discussion.
It's going to be awesome, man. Leading up to the end of Season 2 in Pod Caviar, I've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks, and now we can finally get into it. Properly. It's basically a series of terrorism and how everything, to my knowledge and what I think, connected to 9/11. So everything that happened before that pretty much connects to each other in some sort of weird-ass web of terror, basically.
Nothing that you've presented to me to this point has been weird conspiracy theory nonsense or anything. It's
right.
It's a very objective examination of the facts.
Pretty awesome. Today we're going to talk about Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind behind the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993.
Because you're like, it's pretty awesome. He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
The investigative information is pretty awesome. Not the acts of terror were not awesome at all. Let's make that destination right there.
There's got to be a distinction made.
But February 26, 1993 at 12:18 p.m., the North Tower of the World Trade Center, a 1,300-pound bomb that was in the back of a Ryder truck, a nice callback to the past episode.
Absolutely.
Exploded in the parking garage of the, like I said, the World Trade Center. And the ultimate goal of that terror attack was to topple Tower 1 into Tower 2 and collapse them both.
Would you like to hear some news
didn't
from
happen.
That day?
Yes. Let's take a little clip and then we'll come back.
Almost at the top of the tower.
We just heard a big bang. The whole building shook. We just started to come down.
I actually saw the wall shaking. I thought it was an earthquake or something. Like all the computers went off, everything just went off. It sounded like a bomb or a bang or something, or a pop. I can't really explain it.
There was no announcement as far as what to do.
We just started tearing down the stairs.
The hallways filled up with smoke and we blew out of there.
We put our hand on the shoulder of the person in front of us, and then in an orderly manner we went down the stairs. Everyone did extremely well. Of course, I was in the Dean Witter group, but no one panicked. There was no screaming when the lights went out, and it was very orderly. We went down, it seems like maybe, I don't know, half a dozen flights like this in pitch blackness until we saw a fireman somewhere.
Shit,
around.
There's always that one guy that's long-winded. There's always that one.
But it would have been cool too, though, if they'd have had those few people talking, and then she'd have been like, "On this day," blah, and that's what I thought was good. So I apologize.
No, it's fine. Those were first-hand accounts of the attacks as they happened that day. Yeah, 1993. So
and they do eerily sound similar to,
of course,
that day.
But the thing that got me was the bomb was in a truck in a parking garage at the bottom of the tower, and they felt it all the way up to the top of the tower. That's how big that bomb is. You're talking about 1,300 pounds of explosive. It's like some type of, I forgot what type of bomb they said it was.
Probably a fertilizer bomb, I would imagine. Was it like similar to the kind of bomb that went off at the Federal Building? Or the bomb at the Federal Building wasn't quite as large, was it?
I think they were comparable. Yeah, but that one was huge too.
Clearly the idea would have been to topple the building at that instance. And then imagine in an instant that building falling over sideways.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Never mind. Don't imagine that.
No, please don't imagine that. Yeah, don't keep that out of your head. The way, in fact, that they wanted to do that. I mean, from what I understood, is that they almost succeeded in doing it back then, but they didn't.
I have always heard that they underestimated the structural strength of the building. There were some key methods to which they used to design that building to where. Maybe it was for earthquakes or like some sort of unlikely seismic event. But essentially, the way the building was constructed, the force was allowed to resonate through the building. The energy was transferred through the whole building. So
that's why it didn't do that much damage. Yeah, it was actually built for that and to withstand the direct impact of a 707, which was the largest plane at the time when the towers opened up. But as we both know.
I wasn't aware, though, that was a specific design requirement.
Yeah. Because people were, and
Well, of
rightfully
course,
so, they were
yeah.
worried about that shit happening. So at the time, the 707 was like the going plane for that era. So
it's almost as if they'd had at some point had some sort of like intelligence that led them to believe that terrorists would perhaps try to hijack an airplane and crash it into a building in the 70s.
Yeah.
As if that had perhaps been explored.
Maybe.
As an idea.
Yeah. But anyway, Ramzi Youssef, a Kuwaiti national. He was a member of,
He's
I
the
guess he still
driver.
is. He's still alive, so I guess he still is technically.
Is he the driver of the Ryder truck?
No, he
he's
was
the
not.
orc-
He
he's
was
the-
more of the. He was the orchestrator of it.
Sorry, did
Khalid
you already
Sheikh
say-
Mohammed was the.
Did you
was
already
the
say how
financial man.
this man was related to this?
No, well, not really. No,
Oh, okay.
no,
All
he
right.
wasn't necessarily the driver. He did, however, plan it and do a lot of things that put it all into place. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was who he was related to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like his
we're all
uncle or
pretty
some
familiar
shit.
with
Yeah,
that.
he's the one who put the money up for it, and he arrived in the U.S. in '92. Of course, it wasn't. I think it was like a work visa or some shit, but they set up a terrorist cell and everything. The motive behind it, as was many of the attacks against America, was our involvement in the Middle East and our ties to Israel, which is something that we just we're not gonna stop.
Yeah,
doing
and I
that,
don't.
you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, do you mind if I expand on that
Go
just
ahead,
a bit?
yeah.
But I mean, I think that that's something too that maybe younger listeners may not understand is that at one point, like we've always had this obviously weird tie to Israel, but our involvement in the Middle East when the Soviets were fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan, we funded, armed, trained.
Yeah, we did.
You know, because the enemy of our enemy, right? Mm-hmm. And then we left them hanging, you know, not unlike what happened with the people in Iraq after the first Gulf War.
Right.
Was that we were like, well, you know, we pushed everybody back. You guys rise up and fight Saddam. And, you know, figured out how that went going either way. But yeah, our relationship to those particular freedom fighters goes back a long ways. As a matter of fact, if you watch Rambo 3, at the end of Rambo 3, there's like a message on the screen about how the movie is dedicated to the freedom fighters in the Taliban in the mountains of Afghanistan.
I vaguely remember hearing that, seeing
So
that.
it's a real thing.
Wow.
So
yeah, it is.
So obviously, now listen, I'm not necessarily saying their methods are correct. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with how things went down, but an understanding of our history in that region, like essentially 50 years too, of like unfettered meddling in that region of the world, which includes like the backing of Israel and the turning a blind eye to the treatment of the Palestinians, and you know just this sort of hands-off approach to the Middle East that was followed by unfettered meddling in their affairs.
Yeah,
their beef is calculable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not rooting for them.
We're not rooting for them at all.
This is
But
America.
we understand.
Sorry,
yeah. But at the same time, he's like, sorry, but fuck you at the same time kind of deal.
But also, too, though, you know, American soul searching to do in that region. Sorry, you were talking about motives for terrorism.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And
our meddling in the Middle East, and then our
one of my biggest gripes about America's behavior in the last 20 years is like we're at war with terrorism, so we're making as many terrorists as we can.
Of course, yeah, you got to, keep that war machine going, but. To walk it back, Ramzi Youssef and the journeyman of his friend Ayed Esmoli were the drivers that parked the truck into the underground structure. The parking garage at the time, one of the things that I saw in my research was it wasn't secure at all. People were coming in and driving out of that.
Maybe just a gate where you pay. Right?
No, it was free. I mean, you just drove in and drove out.
Free parking in Manhattan?
There was a video of it back in the day because there was a security guy that said that.
I do remember seeing that on
and
the
the dude was like,
news.
"You just let people drive in and drive out of this shit,
I
like
do
for real?"
remember
And they're like,
seeing that
"Yeah,
on
you
the
know."
news.
But that was the mindset, the laissez-faire mindset of the '90s, where people were just like, "Oh no, terrorism is just you."
And they did build a massive parking structure, and probably in some respects, the city was like, "Hey, great, people can go down, and there's this huge parking structure. You just drive in and park, you know, and it's not a nightmare like it is to park in every other parking space in any city.
It was easy, you know, and that was if it's easy to park there for free. Almost. If it was easy to park there for free, it would be easy for a terrorist to park a bomb in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened. So and this happened in 12:18 noon. So it wasn't like it was in the middle of the day where everybody was damn near either going to lunch or coming back to lunch, and 2 110 floor towers. So there's a lot of people.
A lot of commotion going on. And I mentioned this before the podcast. I seem to remember a made-for-TV movie that I watched. It was about people who were trapped in the elevators in the Twin Towers.
Yeah, I mean,
one of those things. Isn't that weird too, though, about like memories from when you were like 4, 5, 6, 7? Oh, I guess I was older than that. We were probably in 3rd or 4th grade then, but however old you are then, 9, 10.
Yeah.
How you ever like you don't remember anything from them, but you remember these weird seared in images of these historic events.
No, I remember when that shit came on TV, because I was just playing in the bedroom, and then it came on TV, and I was young as fuck, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on, so I was like, holy shit, you know? Yeah. And I remember seeing a woman come down, and she had the soot all in her face and everything.
Yeah, and there were some people like bloodied in the face too, like coming out from under the garage.
It was pretty fucked up. It was a pretty big bomb, but like I've always said, terrorists aren't necessarily smart. They're lucky, and they got really lucky that day because of the laxed mind state of the American public. This is something that terrorism and terrorist acts like this is something that happened in other parts of the world. Like you had when the movie, you ever seen Munich, the movie that was based off when they went down and chased
terrorist attacks. No. Yeah,
it was more of an outside of America thing.
It was
even when it was against America,
it was
more
somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
Kabul Towers.
Fucking,
you name USS Cole. There were terrorist attacks in other places, and then especially in places where there weren't Americans. I mean, people have been blowing themselves up and lighting themselves on fire or opening fire on crowds of people since time immemorial when it comes to terrorism. Like,
but there was nothing that really hit us like that. Like I said in the last episode, we know of Pearl Harbor. We didn't live through Pearl Harbor, but we lived through the era between Pearl Harbor and 9/11. So, I mean,
well, and there's argument to be made too that it's like, okay, 9/11 happened due to complacency, and in a large as far as the ability for us to concentrate intelligence information, we did entirely drop the ball because of bureaucracy and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
but like also that event compared to global terrorism, essentially it was like, okay, there had been one external terrorist attack properly on America, and then a second one, and then there hasn't really properly been another one.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was like the idea of taking that event and turning it into this global focus on playing, whack-a-mole with terrorist groups.
Yeah.
Clearly beneficial in a number of ways to the people who stand to make the most amount of money.
Of course.
Waging a global shadow war against an enemy that can't quite be defined.
Right.
I'm not really sure
and we're still trying to define it.
I'm going to stop interjecting. I'm going to let you get to.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're still trying to properly identify the terrorists as they come, because it was the Al Qaeda who did that, in this, and then 9/11, then the Taliban, then now it's ISIS. So,
well, and
you got.
We can go on as long as you like. Because,
I mean, this is like the Taliban.
The
was
Taliban
more
and Al Qaeda are two completely different things too. Because the Taliban is, despite their methods, and then eventually how we drove them to global prominence by chasing them.
Yeah,
the Taliban is a political group
in Afghanistan.
Within Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It's a very much its own thing. Now, like when we were like global war on terror, that ties to Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
and then. Oh, and it's such a mess after that.
It is. It is
such a mess. I know
We're gonna
so
have to.
much
We're gonna have to
about
come
it.
back to that.
Yeah,
shit.
we'll do another episode about.
But
global
yeah,
terrorism.
as far as the
Sorry.
attack, one of the things that I said about the Ryder trucks is that when they found the axle of the truck, it had the VIN number of the truck. Once they had that, then they found out who rented the truck, and then that's how they found Ramzi Youssef, and they did the FBI and the CIA, mostly the FBI, but they did a really good job of tracking down who was responsible for this, and that's how we caught up with Ramzi Youssef, and we figured out what went down and how he managed to plan this all out. That part was good. What followed after that wasn't as good. That's why we have this whole series that we're going through now, where we have every this one, and then we go through the Waco, and then Oklahoma City, then 9/11. There are a lot of things that happened after this, the first bombing of the World Trade Center in '93, that didn't prevent 9/11, but should have prevented 9/11.
Right. Well, and there's a common thread too of like how do you attack a country that is really difficult to attack? I mean, it goes going back to like World War II.
Yeah.
Like America did lose a shit ton of people fighting World War II.
Oh yeah.
But all of those people had to be shipped elsewhere.
Right.
For it to happen.
Right. Right.
Vietnam, whatever.
Yeah.
Any of the wars in which America has lost.
Yeah.
Insane, like fractions of the population have been based on going to war elsewhere.
Yeah.
America has yet to have a foreign nation
attack it on its
properly
on our
attack it
soil.
on
Yeah,
its soil.
we've attacked each other.
Yeah, and by
But
comparison,
then-
if you look at like European countries or especially Middle Eastern countries,
Right.
where this ideology comes from,
Yeah.
it'd be like if the fucking states just were at war constantly all
Yeah.
the time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everyone was just kind of trying to go to work, but like
Right.
mor-
Yeah,
like
but
we live
someday-
in Georgia, like mortars from Alabama were coming
Exactly.
over.
Yeah.
And we're like,
It's
why
a
are we-
foreign concept for a lot of people, but
Like-
that's how it is over across on the outside of the world.
It's absolute insanity. But I
Yeah.
think that in some respects is why America reacted to that kind of thing the way we did, in like the least surgical, least reasonable manner possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have no doubt, and then you probably have it in your research, but I have no doubt that after the World Trade Center was bombed in 1993, there was probably some section of Afghanistan where we just dropped bombs all the way up to and after 9/11.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
we dropped bombs in Iraq.
Yeah.
After the Gulf War ended.
Yeah.
We dropped bombs in Iraq all the way up to the day we came back there.
Yeah.
Just not
Yeah,
like,
periodically,
Just
yeah.
not like on Baghdad on the major
Right.
cities.
Right.
It was like
right.
before
It was,
shock
I think it was
and awe.
mostly when they had when they were in the no-fly zone and shit like that, and then things of that nature. But
the
it was
U.S.
outposts
ran,
mostly.
The U.S.
yeah.
ran bombing campaigns against targets.
Well, I
in
mean,
the
it
Middle
started
East.
with Sarajevo and all that shit in
And
Bosnia.
and they ran bombing campaigns on behalf of the Israelis every day.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But that was it. But mostly once we figured out that we can bomb an opposition into submission, then it was like, okay, well then we're kind of for hire now. Oh, you need us to do this? Okay,
Yeah,
cool. We'll
yeah.
do that. And then
it turned out it doesn't quite work that way.
no, it does not.
'Cause-
no.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, those people who live in the Middle East are resilient.
They are resilient as shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, in a lot of respects, they deserve to be, because if you really look at the statistics,
Right.
the number of people America killed in the Middle East who were just like people getting up to go to work.
Yeah,
versus
staggering.
The number of people who were
Staggering.
what you would consider combatants is like
Unbelievable.
there's that graph a lot of people may be familiar with where they show like the percentage of combatants who die, like if you take the total number of people who die in any given war,
Right.
and the percentage of those people who are combatants in the war. As war progresses through the years, that is a constant rise.
Oh, yeah.
And once you get to World War II,
Yeah.
it skyrockets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And never slows down.
Right.
Dude, like, I mean, 3,000, 4,000 Americans have died fighting the wars in the Middle East for no fucking reason. 500,000 people in the Middle East have died who were not combatants in
Right.
any war,
Right.
whether they were killed by us or by the people in their own
Yeah.
area or
Yeah.
their own governments. Or
Oh, yeah.
however that
That's
works.
why you see a lot of migrants that move away from that shit.
And God forbid,
I don't blame them for moving away from that shit.
but God forbid you start that war and then tell them they can't come because you go there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause
You go there. Yeah, you go
and you're
there.
like, we're
and
bringing
then
you
we're
American
bringing you
style
democracy.
democracy.
Hell yeah,
You're gonna
we're
have
reigning
McDonald's
freedom on
and
your
shit.
ass. Yeah.
And then they're like, that's not how this is working out. Maybe you could allow us to come to your country and eat
Yeah.
McDonald's, and we're like, nah.
Yeah, no,
You guys
no,
are in
no.
danger.
No, we're bringing it to you. What the fuck?
What if- what
we
if-
bring it. You don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it to you. You just
Yeah,
gotta,
you just gotta
survive.
hang in there.
You just have to
Hang
live
in
long
there.
enough to enjoy it. Yeah, but I mean,
You'll appreciate it when it's all said and done.
of course, yeah. But when is it all said and done? Honestly, when is the
This
end?
one, never.
Never. There's no real.
I'm sorry,
way.
dude. I didn't mean to devolve this into this.
No,
but you're
no.
talking
I mean,
like
but
you
it
go
all,
back to this.
Yeah, it
this
all goes
93
to this.
bombing
Yeah, it all goes to this.
is an explosion
Yeah,
of horrendous behavior
right.
globally.
Dude, because you want to talk about all the things that happened up to this point, and then everything that happened after this point. They came to America. Ramzi Youssef and his group was funded by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Yep.
Attacked two of the tallest buildings in the world in the heart of New York,
yeah, there's gonna
and then they almost toppled them. Almost collapsed both of them in 1993.
yeah, and that's maybe something you might want to
That's-
focus on as far as security is national security.
That's
is concerned.
hatred beyond hatred.
Yeah.
Hatred beyond measure.
You know,
That's more than I hate your country because you're over here fucking around.
well, and, you know, I'd always heard this thing, and the person, I can't remember this person's name, but we were in the Air Force together, and we would have conversations. We had a conversation the day of shock and awe. I remember sitting in the break room at work
Yeah.
and watching the bombs drop on Baghdad. And I remember I was one of the only people in the room. I was like, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
No.
Like, I don't feel like this is and it caused a big uproar. And there was one other guy in the office who would have these conversations with me. And the thing he said was that I kind of dismissed at the time because it sounded like nonsense, was he was like, you can't defeat an enemy that's willing to die for their cause. And I was, in
Yeah.
my mind at that, even I was like, this is a bad idea. This
Yeah.
could potentially be a quagmire. I was like, nah. You help. Yeah, you, General Patton.
Yeah.
No one ever succeeded dying for their country. They succeed by making the other poor bastard die for their country.
Right.
So you're like, no, you just oblige them
Yeah.
if they want to die for their cause. But as the years went on, that started to make more sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where because it's like it doesn't have to be an army of people.
No.
It doesn't have to be shitloads of people at any
No,
given
it
time.
doesn't.
It
No.
can be a small minority of people
Yeah.
who are more than willing
Yeah.
to die.
You're gonna think any major terrorist attack besides Pearl Harbor, which was by a government from a country that was
Yeah.
sponsored, it's been by a group of people,
Yep.
mostly infiltrated, a terror cell,
Right. Loosely
some
affiliated
luck, some
groups
skill,
of people.
a lot of money.
Yeah. Loosely affiliated groups of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Man, there's a great Nova documentary that maybe we should do an episode about sometime called The Men of the Central Valley. And it's like a Nova PBS documentarian got in with this real, and obviously because they allowed a camera in there
Right,
and like
yeah.
a Western journalist to come in there. They weren't like the brightest of the bunch.
No.
But it really gives you insight in how rudimentary their tactics were that were pretty effective in derailing the operations of the
Of
greatest
course.
army that's ever existed.
Right.
The greatest military force that's ever existed on the
Right.
face of this planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're good because we have a lot of technology.
Unlimited funds.
I think that we've become really good at adapting and seeing things as they are because when we advanced technologically,
yeah.
they reverted back to the basics,
Yeah.
and those two things at the opposite end of the spectrum, they didn't mesh up too well because you could be the most technologically advanced
We're
civilization.
Well, yeah, we're
but then-
basically preparing ourselves to fight another army that's like ours.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah.
trying to stay a
yeah,
step
and
ahead.
then they went to the opposite, and then we weren't.
Yeah, you
we still
can't-
weren't
yeah, what do you
there.
do with
know,
that?
we
What's-
walked so far away from that we
Yeah.
didn't recognize it anymore. So we had to dial it back in a way.
What's the protocol for when the streets explode?
Exactly?
If you're
yeah.
if you're in a vehicle that's prepared to survive a nuclear blast, and
Right.
you have millions of rounds of ammunition or whatever, or
Yeah.
laser beams,
Yeah,
whatever the fuck you
What
have.
if that tire on the side of the road isn't a tire, but it's a
Right.
lot of explosives
What
in
if
there,
the
and it's underneath of you now?
Right, or what if the street just blows up underneath your feet? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
these like indiscriminate
Yeah.
amounts of explosive,
But I mean,
unexploded JDAMs turned into IEDs. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean? It's an absolutely insane.
You made a
environment
great
to
point where you
consider.
said, how are you going to defeat an enemy that's willing to die for their cause? But I don't. Back in World War II, everybody was willing to die for their cause, so to speak.
To an extent, the deal there though. You look at World War II. All the governments involved were willing to let all the people they had die to
That's
prove their
true.
point. The
Yeah.
weird, strange thing about terrorism, like state sponsored or not, is that each individual person, and I mean, in some respects, that's what made the Japanese so tenacious and
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's a complete other conversation. That like Bushido
true.
Code thing.
Yeah, that shit was wild.
That was something that no one on Earth was prepared to come up against. No,
No,
one in the Western
no.
world who had ever fought a war was prepared for what happened when we fought the Japanese.
Of course not.
The first group of 20,000 Japanese troops who were had their backs up against the cliffs of a giant mountain, and they all just jumped off
Yeah.
the mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
something.
the Japanese soldier that stayed in the cave for years after
Yeah.
the war was ended.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
They were
something
digging those guys
that's
out in like the
crazy.
60s and 70s still.
Right.
Who
right.
that level of commitment.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. This is like in no way to say that like, oh well, the United States military is not committed. Like they're not.
No. Yeah.
They're not committed.
No. Yeah. We're very committed.
But Jesus Christ.
There's levels to commitment.
Right.
Right.
And how do you fight an enemy for which there's almost you almost cannot prepare
Right.
for that kind of warfare.
Right. Right. But
I've dragged.
that's just
sorry,
how
man,
it
I
is.
dragged us so far.
No. That's the beginning. The spark that led the fire of terror for years was 1993, the first World Trade Center bombing, and coming up in the next episodes leading up to the end of season 2 of Pod Caviar, we will expand from this. I know we talked about a lot today, but there's much more to talk
So
about,
much.
and there's so many
We put
so many levels
Yeah.
into this.
We
Like the
put a
next
lot
one
of
is about
pins into a lot of grenades.
yeah, the next
pun
one is
intended.
about the Waco, the siege in Waco. So the Branch Davidians.
So long. Didn't we already do that, or did we accidentally do
the
a bunch of
the
it?
previews. Remember
Yeah,
the preview
oh,
episodes?
yeah.
I text on a little bit, but now we're gonna get deep into it. You know, so
We've touched on all this. We
Yeah.
are gonna have to figure out a way to bring it home, though. I owe you that.
Yeah,
As
no, we
someone
will.
who's joining you for these.
I mean, we pretty much did.
Yeah.
Ramsey Youssef,
Yeah.
mastermind of the '93 bombing of the World Trade Center. We talked about the hatred, his motives behind it,
This
and how terrorists.
sounds like one of my papers in college.
Right, yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much how we have to end this right now. We're talking about the motives, how
Yeah.
they fucking how pissed off they were.
As long as you don't go back
how
and read
they-
more, this is what this paper was about.
Yeah, right. How they were able to infiltrate and then set up the terror cell, execute the mission.
Absolutely.
And they didn't necessarily succeed everything that they wanted to do 100%, but they got in there and they did that. America's response to the 93 bombing was not sufficient.
Absolutely.
And then in the coming weeks, we will explain why
Yeah.
it definitely was
And then
not
domestic
sufficient.
terrorism and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun, definitely. I want to go ahead and thank Graham for being on another great episode of Pod Caviar. I know you were excited about this
Absolutely.
upcoming series.
No, I am
and,
excited about this series. And I
yeah.
apologize for derailing it.
No.
Everybody.
You bring a lot of information
Yeah.
to the episode, and then I appreciate that, man, because it brings up a lot of talking points, and then when people listen to it, I think they'll understand that we know what we're talking about, and
Yeah.
that we're not excited, but we're knowledgeable of this shit.
Well, yeah, and at least we're
It's a
willing
lot
to explore ideas and
Yeah.
walk them down.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
what I hope I'm good.
Oh yeah, of course, and of course you can subscribe to the 1 Gram Army. Check it out, and then every episode, every week, there's a great episode. I'm on a lot of them. Graham has other guests and other topics and everything, and it's just a great. It's a great. I did start working on the design for the 1 Gram Army.
Yeah,
T-shirt. Yeah,
eventually. Yeah, just shoot them to me. We'll bounce it back and forth, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I'll start
awesome.
thinking about it a little more too.
You can also call 443-747-1417. That is the number for Pod Caviar. You can text or call that 24/7, and all of the reactions and all the messages that I get, I surf through them, and if it's great, if it's something that's interesting, if it's something that I just need to talk about, I will feature it on the next episode, and then we'll go from there. Pod Caviar is available damn near wherever. It is the most widely available podcast in the world. You can get it wherever you get podcasts.
Yeah. I think you should be wrapping this up.
Especially Spotify. You can get it on. You can also check out Shirt Caviar. That is shirtcaviar.com. That is my business. That is where we get all the great t-shirts from. It is something that I've planned on doing for years, and then I finally got a chance to do it, so I've been doing it, and this year has been very good. There are a lot of designs. You can go in there, search for it, reasonably priced, and it's great. So check out Shirt Caviar, subscribe to Pod Caviar, subscribe to 1 Gram Army. This has been another great episode of Pod Caviar. I've been your host, Tony, with Graham, and we are out.